good afternoon.
Hi.
I am really happy to be talking to you because I'm so excited for what you guys are doing.
Oh, thanks.
I'm blown away and where you guys have come just in one season. And the last time I talked to you was before it even aired, so we didn't even know what was going to happen.
No idea. I think we did that interview and we were probably all sitting around going, oh, like 5 people are going to see this, maybe. And then, what do you know?
How have things changed for you? I mean, there's so many ways, but I mean, is there anything that stands out for you right now?
My life certainly hasn't changed at all because I don't ever get recognized on the street.
Really?
No, God, no one would ever pick me out of a crowd. Between the voice and the hair and the makeup and everything like that, I never get recognized. But life is good. A lot of doors are opening, which is always a good thing. You don't get the invitation to necessarily walk through quite yet, but it has certainly changed everything professionally for all of us.
The big thing that I was thinking of too is from that interview, the first thing you said to me was that you described Felix as the beating heart of the show. That's how he was kind of envisioned. What is he in season 2 now?
His own person. That was something that I genuinely did want to play with a lot because I feel like he was, I've said this probably about like 30 times today, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Kind of an accessory
right.
to Sarah, an accessory to Clone Club. He's their tent pole. And I think that it was really important for me to establish him as an entity outside of Clone Club. He needs to reclaim a piece of his identity because I think it's been lost. He's just said yes to Sarah all the time, yes to whatever she asks him to do, yes to her lunacy, yes to her insanity. It's time he said no. And what that does to their relationship, the strain that it puts on their relationship, if any, audiences will get to see play out.
Right. Well, and I mean, I do think it's interesting that, I mean, you had even said first season that he's kind of the levity that's brought to the show in that season. So is there still levity?
There is. There's definitely levity. I don't think that
because he's a light character in some respects, at least.
We couldn't say goodbye to the Laurel and Hardy comedy duo of Allison and Felix. We weren't going to just let that one slide. But I think that part of this series, part of the second season was grounding the show.
Right.
We laid the pipe. We poured the foundation of the house. You know, we got the mystery going. Now it's time to build the house, to ground it, to show the audience even more how these characters, these fictional characters, are real human beings.
Right.
Tat and I talked a lot about this season, how because there's so much technical work that goes into the characters, Felix included, he's very delineated, he's very different, that I wanted to focus less on the technicality of the accent, of the physicality. I wanted to relax a little bit more into that. Trust that I knew what it was, trust that I knew this character, and feel free to evolve, to change, to be inconsistent. I've said before, human beings, we're not consistent. There's nothing consistent about who we are. We change all the time, and human beings are messy. We're very messy people. So why should a character why shouldn't they be afforded the same ability to be inconsistent? Why shouldn't they be afforded that luxury? And I wanted to give him a piece of that. I wanted to humanize him even more, redefine him, define him more finitely.
Wow.
Is that a word, finitely?
I think so.
More precisely, more in depth. I'm just going to start tossing out synonyms. Small.
Well, but I mean, I think that's a great direction for him because he seemed in some ways messy to begin with. I mean,
he was messy. I think he was confused and he was a bit of a mess. But I think there was no question when he stepped on screen, the audience knew exactly who he was.
Right.
And he stayed that person for the most part the entire season. And this season I wanted to show I wanted variance.
Right.
I wanted to feel free to really allow him to become different people when he's with different people. Because in essence, that's what Tatiana's clones are. They're different sides of her.
Right.
Just like Felix is a side of me, and within Felix are the different sides of him, and consequently the different sides of me. But each clone that she plays offers me an opportunity to redefine my character as well. When Sarah, when she first joins us in the beginning of season 1, is a very different person than the Sarah we find at the beginning of season 2. Very different. So, of course, it would make sense. It would only be fair to say that that new person has an effect on my character as well.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that I explored that, because I think anything short of that would just be just chickening out, and I didn't want to chicken out.
Well, from what I've read and seen, there is certainly the concept that there's a falling out taking place.
There's a something. There's a something.
And at the same time, a connection being drawn between one of the other clones.
I think that something Felix and Allison have in common is that they're both, look down on the world. They're so superior, but at the same time they're not. I think these are two people who spent their entire lives convincing themselves that they are special and they're better and they're great, because inside they feel like they're not. Right. It's why Allison drinks. It's why Felix takes a new partner every day. That validation, they don't have it intrinsically. They need to get it from other places. And that was really all their relationship was. Yes, they're different. We know they're different. But their relationship isn't about how are we different. It's about how are we the same, which is true of any relationship in life. Right. And that's how we form bonds with people that don't look like us and don't talk like us and don't walk like us. It's because we find that common thread. And I think that Sarah reprioritizing and maybe making Felix less of a priority and less important makes him feel, he already feels like an alien. He already feels lonely. He feels like an outsider. Right. So that's just really impressed upon him the idea that it's true. He is lonely. He should be lonely. He has no one. And he's nobody outside of Clone Club. He's just this person. He's just this accessory. And I think he finds solace in Allison. They find solidarity because they're feeling the same thing. They get to sympathize with each other.
But the moment they met, I saw the connections. I mean, even in season 1, there was that whole concept there that they had something in common. For me, at least. I mean, I don't know, how far back you guys take it, but
I think there was a moment where we were like sitting in. Where were we? We were in the loft, I think, and we were both. Felix was standing like this, kind of, neck craned up and massaging his collarbone, and Allison was doing the same thing. And again, they're sort of looking down on the world. And it was just this, we both turned to each other, realizing we were doing the same thing. And we thought, oh, it was the first time we'd seen that commonality, that common thread. Because they're technically, for all intents and purposes, they should hate each other because they're so different. They represent two completely different worlds. But as it turns out, we're not so different after all. And that is a recurrent theme, right, in the show. It's very apt that would be something that we would connect over, because the whole show is about who am I, who are you, how are we the same? Right.
Well, when you guys play it, I mean, for Tatiana, I would expect she can vest herself into that character. But when you're playing opposite Tatiana and you're going between these characters, do you cue into something? Is there something that helps you identify her differently, or does it come down to just the scene?
She's so great. She gives me every reason in the world to believe she is. There is an element of suspension of disbelief because I know her so well. I know Tat. She's my friend. She's my buddy. We see each other offset, out of accent, out of character, but she's so precise and so wonderful that she gives me every reason in the world to believe that she is a different person. And my job is to surrender myself to the absurdity, surrender myself to this idea with total abandon, and not worry about looking stupid, and not worry about being embarrassed or self-conscious, because self-consciousness is like an actor's worst enemy, and just do it and respond to what she gives me. And if I just respond to what she gives me, then she helps me to redefine the character. She gives me material to help redefine him. If I try and plot out what I'm going to do, and I don't leave myself open, then I'm shortchanging myself, because she's giving me all this new material as a different person. And why not just let it affect me? Why not just let it affect me in character? But I use a couple of different things. I always start with relationships. In any script, the first thing that I look at, usually the first common thread, if I'm playing someone who's dying of a terminal illness. I don't know what that's like. I've never faced my own mortality that way. I can think about it, I can imagine it, but maybe what I would do is find a relationship that looks familiar to me and go, oh, what would happen if I lost that? What would happen if I lost this person? Oh, so I'm not playing a disease, I'm playing loss. I'm playing the idea that I'm going to lose all of these things that I hold so dear to me. Those are the connections we draw. It's not literal in a script.
Right.
As an actor, you never draw literal connections. They're all figurative parallels.
Well said.
Oh, thanks. I'm just like talking I'm just trying to get another job. Hire me.
Well, but then the other side of this is how has Felix changed for you playing him between season 1 and 2? Is there something that you've kind of identified with that you're kind of developing here?
Yeah.
Or has developed, I should say?
I think I really capitalized on the idea of loneliness, of
Right.
alienation, which I didn't so much first season because I felt like he's just so happy Sarah's back and he's wrapped up in this.
Right.
He uses the clone mystery as a bit of a distraction because he wants purpose.
Right.
He's kind of a free floater. He just goes through life aimlessly. He's an artist, fine. Is his art selling? I don't know. Is he really serious about it? I'm not sure. I think he's really searching for a purpose, and that's what Clone Club gave him.
Right.
But then the purpose sort of turns on him and says, well, we don't need you anymore. And suddenly this idea of being shoved to the side, of being left behind by the person that means the most to you, by the person that you trust the most, that's hard. It's a really tough pill to swallow, and we can all relate to it. We've all been hurt by a family member. We've all been hurt by someone that we care about, by someone we love. We've all been hurt by ourselves. We've been hurt by circumstance. So drawing those parallels is where it changed for me, and that helped to make him more sympathetic. It helped to make him more of a real human being.
Right.
Because I think it's very easy to just be playing the comic relief or the levity and not give yourself the opportunity and pay enough respect to the character to make them a human and realize that, they have feelings. And I got to kind of go back and forth between genres. If anytime I'm with Allison, it's great. It's funny, it's light, and then suddenly we shift to Sarah, or we shift to, clone A, B, or C, and it's dark and it's this or it's that. And how great is it that I get to play two different shows in the same show? I get to play two different genres in the same series. It's wicked.
Well, then I also want to know, you said in the first interview that I did with you that you were channeling a cat when you were playing Felix.
Yeah.
Is he still a cat?
He's still a cat.
He's still a cat?
He's still a cat. Less a cat, but the feline stuff was more for his body language, his physicality, his attitude. He's still haughty. He still moves across a room the same way. But interestingly enough, again, going back to the idea of inconsistency or relaxing a little in the character, there were a couple of particular episodes where it didn't make sense that would be the way that he'd walk across the room, and I had to accept that. That was tough for me too, to go, oh God, like, am I losing him? Is he changing? No, it's just when certain circumstance presents itself, you change, you evolve, you morph. You're not the same. And that was part of me realizing, oh, that's what playing a character is, being open and willing to change, because we aren't the same in life. Nobody is. Right. That's what it means to play a human.
Well, the last thing I'd like to know is, hopefully there's a third season for Felix.
Yeah.
I don't know who lives and dies. I haven't watched the whole season, but if there's a third season, what's in store for the life that you want to see Felix live?
Oh.
Is there something that you want him to attain or that you'd like to see happen for him?
Happiness. I'd like him to be happy.
Well, I'm hoping we see it in season 2, but I guess we'll have to see where that goes.
See.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.